Hello again and welcome to the 140k Imperial Guard Tactics video. Now before we get into today's video, I would like to say a huge thank you to Sven Alexander Langbein, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, for sending in some awesome pictures of his 483rd Praetorian Guard Regiment. Absolutely stunning models. I remember you sending in a picture of your first guardsman a while back, Sven, and I believe I used that in one of my videos. It's great to see that you're still continuing with the regiment and you're doing the Emperor proud. These models, absolutely fantastic paint scheme. Really appreciate all the fine details. Looks really good. Keep up the hard work. You're doing great. If anyone else has got any cool pictures they want me to use in my videos, please post them on my Facebook page. There will be a link in the description down below. Now, without further ado, let's talk about counter assault. Okay, because I said in my Mordian Mondays that counter assault is becoming much more relevant. Back in the day, back in the beginning of 8th edition, the Imperial Guard could get away with bringing very little assault elements. Very little. Because if someone assaulted you, you would just fall back and shoot. And you never had to worry about bringing close combat elements. That is not the case anymore, to be honest. Both through player skill and game mechanics and new releases, that is now no longer a certainty. You see, people are now much, especially in the competitive area, people are much better at tri-pointing, tagging models. For those of you that don't know what tri-pointing is, essentially, if you look at the base of an Imperial Guardsman, if you tag that model with 3 enemy models, 3 points, 3 equidistant points, that guardsman does not have enough room to fall back, and because he then can't fall back, he has to stay in combat, and therefore the unit which is the enemy unit which is in combat with him cannot be shot, apart from if you Valhalla another Stroyan. So that doesn't necessarily mean that the enemy will massacre the squad and there'll be one guy left and you can just let him flee. No. What the assault phase can be very well manipulated by a good player. What they can do is they can stay an inch away with the majority of the Death Star unit which has engaged you, or any unit which has engaged you, get in base to base contact / within 1 inch with one model. So that one model will fight the unit. That one model might only kill 2 or 3 guards, and they're going to stick around to morale. And then through consolidate with 3 inches, he will then technically move close towards you, form that tri-point on one of your models, and you will not be able to get away. It's one of the reasons why I am dropping Sentinels from my Steel Legion list. Back at the beginning of 8th, middle of 8th, Sentinels, armoured Lascan Sentinels were the bomb. They were great. I used to use them as anti-deep strike units, and I used to use them as screening units and just semi-mobile pillboxes. Now they're a liability. Last tournament I took my Steel Legion to, every single game, even when I was not facing particularly assault armies, every single game my Sentinels were getting tri-pointed, and I could do nothing about it because my Steel Legion are an entirely shooting army. Now, I still was able to win a lot of games simply due to the bloody mindedness which is my Steel Legion army. I have 144 3+ save wounds, the majority of which are either toughness 7 or toughness 8. Okay, so, and I ignore AP -1. So I was able to basically attrition people through armor. But it was frustrating. It was very frustrating, and I imagine that I'm not going to imagine it. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. So we have to be able to counter assault now, guys. So that's sort of the gameplay mechanics and the natural evolution of player skill as they get familiar with a rule set and people learning these exploits. And I don't even necessarily call them exploits, but these mechanics. Counter assault was already becoming more relevant. It's already becoming more relevant. Hence why I have started adding lots of priests into my army. I'm taking 3 priests. I do it for fluff, and I do it because tactically it bloody works. Okay. Now the thing is that there was ways that you could try and mitigate being tri-pointed. There was ways you mitigate it. For example, if you just formed up in close order drill, you know, 2 ranks or 1 rank, well, 2 ranks actually, if you forward up in 2 ranks, base to base, the enemy is going to find it more difficult to try point you, especially if you've got mutually supporting units, because he has to move towards the nearest enemy model. So that, you know, that was one way you could mitigate it. You'd have less board control, but in a pure infantry army and as a Mordian, I was doing close order drill anyway. However, so there were ways you could mitigate the mechanics of it, but it was not available to everyone. However, there has been a dramatic increase in the amount of abilities that enemy armies are getting, which just stop us from being able to fall back. It's on the rise. Games Workshop have clearly, at the beginning of 8th, Assault was king. They dialed it back too far, okay? And now they're bringing it back in. Because the main argument people had about against us running an Assault army is the enemy will just fall back. Well, now Games Workshop is reacting to those comments, whether you think it's a knee-jerk reaction, whether you think it's right or wrong, not for this video. And they're giving out abilities that deny fallback. They are giving them out to many armies out there. An example being Faith and Fury. You have the Night Lords and you have the Black Templars, who now both have an ability which stop you from falling back. The Night Lords, it is 1 CP. It's 1 command point. And it stops you from falling back. The Black Templars is 2 CP and it happens on a 2+. I'm not sure the difference between the two stratagems. Okay? But I know that the core tenet of the stratagem, the core tenet of that rule is it stops you from falling back. I don't know if it's all units engaged or if it's one enemy unit can't fall back. I'm not sure. I haven't got a copy of Faith and Fury, unfortunately. If anyone has that information, I'd be really grateful if you could pop it down in the comments below. Because it'd be good for all those guard players. As I've always said with this channel, it's not really about, only 50% of the good content on this channel is from myself. The rest of it is in that comment section, guys. So it's such a compendium, it's such an archive of great knowledge in the comment section, guys. Really, thank you. I know we're going a bit of a tangent, but thank you to everyone who does comment. You do have a significant impact on this channel, and I try and get back to as many people as possible. And you give me ideas. It's fantastic. And if you're a newer player or player who's looking for a bit more, if you think I've missed something, or you're looking for a bit more additional tactics, go down to the comments. 9 times out of 10, someone will have some additional info down there which will make you go, "Holy Emperor, that's a good point." I do it all the time. Every video, I'd say. So it's becoming, like I said, it's becoming much harder for us to be able to fall back. So as a result, we need to be able to counter assault, because you can't have it when an enemy just imagine like an enemy Death Star. Imagine, this is not out of the realms of possibility. Marines are really good, right? Marines are really, really good. Imagine it could be a massive unit of aggressors, or a massive unit of Terminators, or something. We're talking about a proper Death Star unit. Imagine it's a unit of Black Templar Terminators, which have dropped down, 10-man strong. Now, they have ways of being able to get like +3 on the charge, and they re-roll the charge, guys. So they're making it into you. Okay? And they just go in there, and they just tag one of your squads. And they're in the middle of your lines. Okay? You aren't able to kill them, because you have no decent combat. And so what happens is the Terminators don't kill you in their turn. They kill you in your turn when it comes back around, when you've been unable to shoot. They wait until that fight phase, they kill you, and then in their turn they go deeper into enemy lines. And they tag another enemy unit, because it's a big footprint. It's a big footprint, 10 Terminators. They tag another one of your units. And then they stop that unit from falling back again. And then they murder it. At that point, okay, that's turn 2, and that's turn 3. At that point, you're getting to turn 4, right? And turn 4, you could potentially have a 10-man strong Terminator unit probably with Storm Shields and Thunderhammer, so they're really difficult to get rid of and they're unbelievably killy. Okay, you've got a 10-man unit, which is more than likely broken through both of your screens at that point. Because, you know, at the very least, you're running one screen of Guardsmen. But if you're playing competitively, you're probably running 2 screens, and then behind your 2 screens, you've got your main firepower. At that point, they've broken through that screen. Okay, they've broken through that screen. So now your main firepower, a la Lehman Russ's, is now exposed. Now you might say, but Terminators are slow. They ain't that slow, because they can move, obviously, 5 inches. They're tasked as Terminators, they're moving 6 inches, so no difference there. And they can advance and still charge with a stratagem. And with a Warlord trait, and Marines have got Warlord, apparently Marine armies can take like 10 Warlords, they can get +1 to that advance roll and +1 to that charge roll. So you have a unit of Terminators which is moving potentially 6 plus D6 plus 1 inches and charging 2d6 plus 1 inches. You are not screening that out for long. And it will take 2... And don't forget they've got Consolidate. Black Templars could consolidate up to 6 inches with one unit. That unit of Terminators is smashing through your lines. You need to have a way of stopping them. You need to have a way of stopping them. Now there are 2 things that you can do. 2 things you can do that, if, no matter what regiment you are, that can help you do that. You can either psychic them to death, but taking Black Templars as an example of that, they got a minimum of 5 plus feel no pain against mortal wounds, and they can get up to a 4 plus. So even if you get like a super smite off and you get a 6, you're actually only doing statistically 3 damage, which is only 1.5 dead Terminators. You've still got 9.5 to go, or 8.5 to go. Sorry, and you're more likely than not you're just going to do a wound. If you're lucky, you'll do a wound from your smites, and you might get 2 smites off. So you might kill a Terminator with your psychics. That's not really enough. Over 2 turns, 3 turns maybe. You've still not done that much damage. The other thing you can do is counter assault them. And this is what we're going to have to do, guys, because Black Templars can't fall back and charge, right? They can't do that. Most armies can't fall back and charge. White Scars can, don't get me wrong, but most armies can't fall back and charge. So what the enemy is doing is they're relying on you getting voodooed, because your instinct, right? Your instinct, when a big unit like that comes at you and starts cracking through your lines, your instinct will be to like, oh, I've got to pull back and protect my firepower. I've got to form another line. That will be your instinct, and that will be wrong because you're not stopping them. They're just going to keep coming, okay? And as we said, they're fast. These are not the Terminators of yore. These are fast. These are not the Marines of yore. They are fast and they are hard hitting. They are smashing you. So you have to contain them. You have to make them fight on your terms. If you fall back, or not fall back, but if you reform the line, blah blah blah, it might help you for a turn or 2. It might do, and it might be the right thing to do. Don't forget, I'm not in every single battlefield. I don't know what's happening. There's always extenuating circumstances. But just think about the fact that you're reacting, and we've talked about reactionary versus being reactive versus proactive, right? If you're reacting to the enemy, they're dictating the flow of the battlefield. They have the momentum. You need to get that momentum back. You need to be able to get that momentum back. Okay? And you do that by not reacting, but proacting. I don't even know if that's the right word. But you take the power back and you counter assault. That is the key to victory. Okay? Because those Black Templar Marines, which you're not able to smite to death, you're not able to stop them from getting to you. If you just dogpile them with a counter assault blob or force, they can only kill so much, right? They can only kill so much. A good unit to counter assault them with is Bullgrins. Okay, Bullgrins are actually almost a perfect Terminator killer, assault Terminator killer. Don't get me wrong. We'll get into it in a second, because Bullgrins are strength 7. So they're hitting on 3s. If you've got a priest nearby, you're getting 5 attacks per Bulgrin. So even just a squad of like 6, which isn't breaking the bank too much, even a squad of 6 will be putting out like 31 attacks. Okay, hitting on 3, so that's 20 wounds. 20 hits, sorry. Wounding on 3s, that's like 15. Okay, 14, 15. Let's say 15, just for ease. You know, you could use command rerolls or whatever. You've got the bonehead as well. 15 wounds potentially. No, that's not quite right. Let's say 12. Okay, 12 wounds. Those Bulgrim Mauls are 2 damage each and the AP -1. So the Terminators are going to fail a third of their saves. So they're going to fail 4. Statistically, they'll fail 4. They may have a feel no pain. They may, but it would be difficult to get. It would be difficult, but they may have a feel no pain. But statistically, you should kill 4 Terminators. Now combine that with the fact that you may have been able, you know, if you really psychic the crap out of them, and you might have done some damage to them already, you might have killed another one. That should be at least 4 dead Terminators, maybe 5. Okay, that's half of this 10-man Death Star unit gone. It's half of it gone. That is now suddenly way more manageable. You ain't out of the woods yet, but it's way more manageable. Okay, it's way more manageable. Now the disadvantage is, don't forget that those Termies are going to swing back against you, and they're flat 3 damage. So every save that you fail is a dead Ogrin. And don't forget, Terminators get 3 attacks each. And don't forget that they can ignore the -1 by using first Fury of the First, 1 CP plus 1 to hit. So they're hitting on 3s. So that's still 15 attacks. And they'll probably have rerolls because it's Marine. So they're going to hit with like 12. And then they're going to wound on 3s. Unless they have got Hellbret nearby, in which case they'll wound on 2s. But let's say 3s. So they're going to wound you with like 8. And then you're going to be on like a 5+ save. So you'll probably lose the majority of your Ogrins. You'll probably lose 5 or so Ogrins. Unless you've got some bucklers in there, some brute shields in there, in which case you might be okay. I'd say you might lose 3 to 5 Ogres depending on the loadout, 3 to 5 Bulgars depending on your loadout. But that is an alright trade because you've blunted a big enemy Death Star for a cheap counter assault unit, and that's 1 counter assault unit. 1. There's nothing stopping you from supporting that Ogre charge with 2. Maybe even, well, I'd say you'd struggle to get 3 squads in because you've got the Ogrins, but 2 squads of Guardsmen as well. Now, those Guardsmen are really important because they're providing bodies which stop those Templars from falling back. Which means in the Templars' turn, that Death Star is forced. I'm saying Templars are an example, guys. This could be any. This could be Night Lords. This could be witches. The point, there's loads of ability out there. I'm just using Marines as an example because Marines are obviously top tier at the moment. That stops the Marines doing what they want to do in their turn. At the most, they'll finish off your Bulgrins and maybe slap a few Guardsmen to death. But you have contained them and you've stopped them. Which then means when it comes round to your turn, so that was turn, let's say they went first, that was your turn 2, that was the counter assault. Their turn 3, they finish off a lot of the counter assault forces. Your turn 3 comes around and you're able to pull back the remainder of your forces, okay, and blast those Terminators off the field of battle. Autocannon the crap out of them. And if somehow in the swirling maelstrom of combat they've been able to try point you and stop you from falling back, and it's almost like a counter, it's counterception, you can throw in more men, but you're still pinning them in place. Another 20 men, do it. You're a guard player, you've got 120 guys. It's not a problem. You can throw in more men. You might even have some other cheap counter assault units. Throw some characters, some power fists in there. But the point is that you've blunted the majority of it. And let's say by turn 3, the enemy turn 4, instead of the enemy turn 4 being they are in amongst smashing the crap out of your heavy firepower, turn 4, either the enemy have been overwhelmed and killed, or beginning of turn 4, the enemy is like, I'm now, I'm still bogged down, I'm still not doing what I want to do. And either way, you have taken the threat out. And that unit of termies, which is like a 400 point unit, 3 to 400 point unit, has been countered by a cheap 160-ish, 200 point unit worth of bullwins and maybe some infantry. They've been countered, they've been contained. And that's the important thing. You may have even killed them. I think the likely scenario is you counter on your turn 2 and then you don't get tri-pointed and then you fall back and you kill them in your turn 3. I think that is the likely scenario, but just be aware of the worst case. There might be something that stops you from falling back. They may use that stratagem. To stop you from falling back, in which case you've got to be prepared to go in there again. I think an idea, would be, don't forget Ogryns are literally half the price of Bullgryns. Or almost half the price of Bullgryns, so you could take multiple Ogryn blobs and just throw them in sacrificially just to beat the... Because Ogryns in combat are still -1 AP. They don't have the 2 damage, but they're still good. So, the point is that you're making your opponent react to you. Now, your opponent, there are still things he can do. He could use, if he's Marines, he could use Honor the Chapter, for example, and just keep whacking. But then you're making him burn through CP, and that is great. You're making him burn through CP. And remember, Marines are very CP intensive now. There's a good chance that turn 3 rolls around, he doesn't have enough CP to do this. There's a really good chance that's the case. A lot of Marine armies are based upon hitting the enemy turn 1, turn 2, loads of pre-game shenanigans, and then turn sort of 3, they might have some CP left, but turn 4 they don't. So, anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Tell me lots and lots of your counter-assault tactics and strategies. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.